It's like right there.
We have nice time.
If we had somebody reporting up there, you'd be looking right at the camera. I was in a movie shoot once, they always told us not to look at the camera.
Right.
That's a big one too. Camera, just don't look at it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, that's it.
I got it, it's Larry.
Can't remember the last time. Oh, that. Teresa.
Let's call the State of Milton Common Council meeting to order Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, 6 p.m. Can I get confirmation of appropriate meeting notice?
Meeting notice was posted on Friday, July 1st at Hometown Ace Hardware, Milton Piggly Wiggly, and Milton City Hall.
Okay, pledge of allegiance. Who would like to volunteer? Gary, thanks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Comments regarding items which can be affected by council action. Is anybody here for public comments on anything? Nope. Okay. Meeting dedication. Oh. Do we want to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we technically have a motion or an agenda now. Thank you for, I don't know, it needs to be highlighted or something, I guess. Okay, meeting dedication. All right, I am dedicating the meeting tonight. And I am dedicating this meeting to all pet lovers in the United States and the world. It takes a special person to receive the unconditional love of a pet, but also to give unconditional love back. And it is a commitment to the life of the pet. They are like our family members. We love them and we are dedicated to them. And many of us, including some in this room, foster pets. And that is another huge commitment of time and emotion and energy. And my family is a big family of pet lovers, and I just want to recognize all of those that have pets, love pets, have loved pets in the past, and will be pet lovers in the future. So thank you for all of your dedication to our animal friends. So it didn't even crack. Okay, approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Discussion and possible action on 2022, 2023 outdoor display of merchandise licenses. And Jenny?
So this is a relatively new license that we have. It's renewed on an annual basis. It is runs from July 1st through June 30th with a $10 fee. And all of the fees will go towards beautification projects in the central business district, so the B3 district. We had 3 applicants at this time. So we have Farmhouse Finds, Hattie and Elsie, and Sunny and Olive. And so I did put the information as far as they are subject to some requirements. And so at this time, city staff doesn't have a recommendation.
Is there any questions or comments from the council for staff?
I think that this is great. I'm a little disappointed that we don't have anybody from the west side though. few places. We didn't hear from anybody over there.
We have not at this point. If we do notice that people have outdoor display of merchandise and it is located on city right away, then we'll send letters out to them, reminding them that they do need to apply for it.
I would move approval of the 3 outdoor display licenses.
Second,
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding adult night at the splash pad and business block party application for special event permit. So sounds like it's the same event on the same night. As far as I can tell.
Correct, yeah, that's the intent. The application was filled out for Friday, July 22nd from 7 PM to 9 PM. And the request is really kind of twofold. One is to close down Parkview Drive from College to Greenman for a business block party in which vendors will be set up in the right of way. And the other portion of the request is to have an adult night at the splash pad. And that would be again from 7 to 9. The reason this is coming before the Common Council is because the request would require city staff and city resources. And the applicant has requested that those be waived. So that's why it's before the council. Yeah, and the exclusive use of the splash pad, which has not been practiced in the city prior to this. And we do get those kind of requests from birthday parties, family gatherings and stuff, so we have not had exclusive use of the splash pad in the past.
And when we get those requests, like, what do we tell folks, or what do we recommend that they do, or don't we make any recommendation?
They can always rent out the pavilion, but because it is a public park, it's difficult to maintain exclusive access when there's really no fencing around it. Anybody can kind of wander in from any direction. And we wouldn't want to put in a situation where a family feels like they need to kick somebody out. So that has never been the practice of the city to provide exclusive use of the splash pad, because ultimately that ends up with a police call.
So have we ever done exclusive, like I know when we rent out a pavilion or the community house, so have we ever done exclusive use of a park per se? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not of a park, no. Yeah, generally it's restricted to the pavilions because there's a clearly defined barrier. It's concrete grass, or the community house, you're inside. So because this one is kind of open air and people can kind of come at it from all directions.
And then what about like for sports teams? How does that work?
To rent like a field,
Yeah.
sports teams, that's all done through MREC.
Oh,
But a
okay.
sports team can rent or have use of a field for practice or game purposes.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the council or comments?
do you know what type of procedure they use for like this fields? If somebody were to just rent out a field from the school district, Central Park, let's say Central Park. If a family was to rent that out, does the school district already have something in place that we could maybe just take a look and see what kind of points they were checking?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, Central Park, the field there is fenced in. And, it's pretty clear that a baseball team is playing or a football team is playing. In the event of like the splash pad, for example, somebody who's not aware of this, how would they know? They're gonna walk up and it's public park, they're gonna see people playing at it like they do every day. So it's not as easy to discern.
I think that's probably why historically we have never had exclusive use of a park, that we've always limited it to renting a pavilion, because, that's a clearly defined area. So I think that's
That's probably why.
I think if the person that wants to do this, as long as they are completely well aware that there is no way for us to control other people from coming to a private party at the splash pad. I mean, it's kind of a personal responsibility to whoever is gonna be, whoever is looking at doing this. And the only way that you can let people know is to put up signs, you know, Joe's family reunion or,
I'm sorry,
I would love to explain.
did
I
you?
don't want exclusive use, and I had emailed.
Okay,
them
well,
about
we
it.
didn't, I'm sorry, I thought you didn't want to speak because you didn't say anything at public comment. If you
Okay.
want to speak now, though, you can, you just have to come up to the microphone and give us your first and last name and your residence address.
Hi, I'm Nikki Olson. I'm the owner of Farmhouse Finds. My address is 6744 Lyndhurst Lane in Roscoe, Illinois, but my business is 231 Parkview Drive in Milton. And I'm sorry, I thought when it came up, I could speak, but I guess to address this and so you guys kind of all understand the context, is business has been really slow since January of 2022. We finally kind of have our whole block filled with businesses. And we all kind of have met, I would say, over the last month and really banded together and focused on social media together and planning events for the rest of the year. We have a whole list of events we want to do for the rest of the year, but this was like a starting point. So I was hot one day and I drove by the splash pad and I felt bad that I couldn't just go run in because there were other kids there and I felt bad. So it was just a joke. I was out gardening out front of the store anyways. So we had the farmer's market last year. It was really a challenge last year to not make an arts and crafts show because we had a hard time finding farmers wanting to bring their goods. So what I was doing was outsourcing it. When I was working in Marshfield, Wisconsin, on my lunch break, I would go and purchase vegetables and fruit and all kinds of like farm goods from these farmers and then bring it to the farmer's market so people would have fresh produce to bring. The farmer's market was a huge undertaking and it was very successful and it did bring a lot of businesses to the businesses in Goodrich Square. So this year when we met, we were like, well, why are things so slow? You know, and we understand there's a recession, inflation and whatnot, but a lot of it has to do with bringing physical bodies to Goodrich Square, which is a task because coming from like the campground where a lot of our seasonal customers are, Merchant Row is just easier. It's right there, it's in your face, it's well known, it's a big part of town. So last year, the farmer's market brought that foot traffic, because once you have that foot traffic, you have your opportunity, your stage to sell that customer and have them come back. So the thought behind the splash pad is not exclusive use. It's just mainly because I know it says like the hours every day, the splash pad are from 10 to 8 p.m. and you know, it's closed. The thought behind it is to bring adults and children. It's not just for adults only, but the thought is no one has ever done an adult night at a splash pad that I'm aware of. There's things in Chicago that are kind of like it, but not really. They actually have like inflatable things and things that we don't have here. But essentially it's to bring the community together and have a huge block party. And if adults want to run through the splash pad and have fun, they can. It's I think as an adult, I have 4 children. And when they run through the splash pad during the daytime at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. when we're open, I buy them popsicles from Arms and let them go run and play. It's different. But when you have a different, like a more welcoming environment as adults, having fun too, because there's all these campgrounds around as well. I think it just sets a different mood and it's later at night. And like I said, we don't want to kick anyone out of the splash pad. We're not trying to rope it off like VIP. I'm not selling tickets to the splash pad. It's really honestly just to get people down. It's been really hot lately and I'm sure it's only going to get even hotter. And to just have fun, have a lot of fun. I've had a ton of people come to us in our business and say that they miss the farmer's market, they miss the car show. I wish my other businesses were here. They were going to come within weather and some babysitting, but there's 12 businesses in that area. We've all kind of banded together and this was the idea that we set forth. So we want to do 3 nights, but this is the first night. And to kick it off with a splash pad, we have a couple of food trucks that one has for sure committed. I'm waiting on a response from the other 2. There's so many different things we want to do with the event. Obviously it takes time, but what's great about this year is I have a lot more people willing to help because that's the hard part is I have a lot of great ideas, but it takes a lot of time and effort and money and labor, to be honest. I don't always have. I still work full-time besides Farmhouse Finds. So that, long and short of it, we're trying to think outside the box because obviously people are facing a lot of financial challenges right now and we want to survive, all of us. You know, clothing, karate, the CPA, the nail business next to us, which are actually going to be opening a restaurant. So we just want to be inclusive of everyone and to create a fun night during the summer. That includes everyone. And then I think the last thing I didn't mention was the vendor part of it. Kate Peterson from Hattie Nelsie and myself, we participate in a really highly sought after vendor fair. You have to be invited to go. It's Urban Farm Girl. And then there's Christmas on the Farm. So a lot of our friends are vendors and they're hard to get. And so that was the idea behind it, is we could have people vending local, near and far, and just bringing people down to Goodrich Square.
So it's another version of the farmer's market without fresh produce.
Right, without me having to go on my lunch. I don't work in Marshall. I'm in Iowa City, Iowa.
Okay,
I don't know.
so
any
it's a
farmers.
family-friendly event then? Your
It is.
families can come?
It is.
It's not restricted just to adults and you're just asking for the splash pad to be open an extra hour?
Essentially, but in the advertising, part of it is gonna be like neon flamingos and adult men splash pad, because again, the splash pad is targeted toward children. And I'm not saying that children can't be there, and it's not like we're gonna be rowdy and disrespectful, anything like that. It's just to be all inclusive, like have a bunch of adults, because I already have a bunch of people adults wanting to bring food and hang out at the picnic tables. You know what I mean? So it's really just about like community and like an adult night out. So.
Any other questions from anyone?
You know, much like before, I still have a concern about the precedent of blocking off traffic for the night. And, you know, if you're doing the splash pad and possibly some other activities promoting the sale of fruit, vegetables, and different activities that you would be having, doing that in South Goodrich Park would be fine. Renting or using that park, terrific. That would be kind of the idea of doing things in the park. But I'm not sure that I understand when I looked at the drawing that then blocked off the whole street from College Street back to Greenman Street, and using that area once again to prevent traffic from going through there and leaving people with a cumbersome idea of how to go around to Highway 26 or going back to Plum Street or wherever. That shouldn't be a problem for city goers. That just so that people in the city or groups of people can have a party. So somehow we should be able to accomplish both.
Right, and the reason why I'm asking for that is because we don't want people to just stand in the park. The point of it is to bring people to our businesses. So to have people in that area, it's like the farmer's market was directly across from our business. So like the Corner Closet, myself and Hattie Nelsie, we had people in that area that went to the farmer's market, went to the car show, and went directly in our business. So if we just limit it to the park, it's really missing the point of the whole thing. Is we want people in Goodrich Square, because like later this year, I want to do another tree lighting. We talked about doing a haunted house and a Halloween parade. Those are all on the agenda that I'll be coming before you in the next couple of months for. But I mean, the point is like, we want to bring people to Goodrich Square and we want them to come in our business and drive the traffic into our business. And by just putting it in the park, it doesn't do that. So like the food trucks, they're going to park in the school parking lot that where Hourglass is. The school approved to park it there. So then they can get their food and mingle with people and go to the business and make that all walkable. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I want Milton to be a tourist attraction. We have 3 wineries. We have new up and coming businesses. And I feel like honestly, Goodrich Square is kind of like the stepchild of it all. and a lot of the attention goes to the other businesses on Merchant Row. But we really want people to come to Goodrich Square and see what we have. We really do have a great group of businesses, but we are struggling.
But that's where I have trouble with setting a precedent. Then do we shut off Merchant Row when we're ready to promote those places and get people into those stores? Do we shut off Highway 26 where we come into town to promote the winery on that side? You know, where does this start and where does it end?
I think it's ever changing because our economy is ever changing. You have to figure out as a business owner, you have to figure out new ways to bring people in. It's not just about, your reputation anymore. It's about social media. It's about having an Etsy store. It's about having 10 different things I just went to a craft fair in Black Hawk Campground. It's about being everywhere and making your presence known. So yeah, if those businesses want to come up with a small business sign and block off a road, I really don't see that it's that big of an inconvenience when you're, because if you don't shop small, you won't have small. If you don't support the ideas of the small business, you won't have those. You'll just have Amazon. And those people have families too and children to feed and put food on the table. So if you don't try something new, because like Chicago does this all the time, larger cities do this all the time. And there's so many other ways to get around this area. It's not like it's just one road. And it's a small section of road. And it's literally about trying to take care of each other and trying to feed our families.
So one thing, just to remind the council that, they're requesting to waive the fees for you don't have to do that. That is an option, but it's also something that if you're feeling strongly about staff time and city resources going for it, that's, just something to keep in mind that there are a lot of things to consider. So not just narrowly focus on one area.
I have a question for that because like for the farmer's market, my husband and I, we did all of it. So is it just the staff, the time of them delivering the barricades, or what am I gonna be charged for, I guess? Cause like for the farmer's market, we did everything and we made sure we stayed extra late and made sure that the barricades were loaded on the truck and did all of that work.
I don't know what the usual, we have to get,
Yeah, I think the staff time in this that's outside of the norm is we have to reprogram the splash pad. So it shuts
Okay.
down.
I gotcha for that. Cause honestly, if it's easier, 6 to 8 would be fine, cause the event is gonna be from 5, I didn't put 5 to 8 or 5 to 9 on there. On the original one I did, I know we've modified it a couple times.
7 to 9 was the.
For the splash pad, but for the block, the block party piece of it, I'm pretty sure I put either 5 to 8 or 5 to 9.
The one that Tyler brought in was 7 to 9 for the adult splash pad.
Okay,
and
then the
it's
original
3.
one had it.
I actually was gonna say that blocking off the road, I don't think sets the precedent, because we've already set the precedent for last year, when we blocked off the road. In my mind, what sets the precedent is trying to potentially, in quote unquote, rent the splash pad to some extent, whether you're not technically renting it, you're leaving it open and stuff like that, but we haven't really done that before either. I'm not sure that's necessarily a good precedent to set there, because then we're gonna get inundated on people wanting to request us to change the times on the splash pad to try to have an event take place in splash pad, and I could see that being a problem to us long term, that portion of it. But I think that having it, the splash pad there, just going through normal hours and stuff, maybe that makes a little sense. And I don't think there's anything against decorating around that area. Is there that they need to require anything from us? So I think that I'm more concerned about the president of the idea of renting a splash pad. Beyond that, what you're talking about, if it's open to anybody, then you don't really need to necessarily rent the splash pad, and you can still decorate in an area that accomplishes a lot of your goals without quote unquote renting it and setting that precedent. Changing the times, that also would set a precedent where if we change times now, then when we get requested to do it again in a couple weeks, and we have to keep doing that and keep using the manpower to adjust those times.
And I'm reasonable, you know what I mean? I'm not very it has to be this. I didn't know that there was programming involved. No one said anything to me or told me, so I had no idea. So that's why I put those times, because I was thinking in my head, maybe if we did it where it was closed, where there wouldn't be a conflict, of children wanting to play. Because obviously I don't want to go stand in a sprinkler when there's a 5-year-old that wants to stand in it, not me, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, I mean, if it's easier to do it just during regular hours, and that's okay, it's mainly, honestly, I don't want to say a gimmick, but it's mainly just like an idea. It's an idea to get people down there and say, hey, look, we're having a fun party with beach balls and flamingos, and it's summertime, and we want to just have fun.
I don't know, I think that can kind of work without necessarily renting it, and then
Okay.
setting that precedent, in my mind at least. But on the flip side, what would be the cost, or what would be the time requirement to actually reprogram that?
We asked what that's about a half hour to do it.
It's not substantial.
Half hour to do it, to program it to stay open until 9, and then a half hour to program it back to 8.
It's an hour of time basically to do that. And in a one case thing, that's not a lot, but if you get that request every week, then it becomes a substantial amount.
And then do they come to the Public Works to pick up the barricades, or do we bring down barricades, or?
I think in the past, we've delivered them to a yard or an area out of the street, and then they send them up.
Then we go back and retrieve them.
And we would pick them up, yes.
Similar to other
There's a time
events.
for that too, so.
Similar to any other event we pretty much have in town, right?
And I think staff did stay there during the event last year, but I'm not 100% sure. The other thing to think about, this won't be a huge expense either, but having the splash pad open an extra hour, then you're incurring the additional water charges too.
Yeah.
There's a reason that it's programmed from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So then there's a stopping point, so you don't have people in the middle of the night just going and splashing in there too.
Lights. See,
So do we have, does the council, here's a question, does the council have the ability to approve the permit with restrictions or modifications, or do they have to resubmit the whole permit?
Oh, the council has the authority to approve the permit with whatever modifications the council deems appropriate, and it's up to the applicant as to whether they're willing to accept it and move forward. And I think the applicant understands that, so that's totally within the discretion of the council.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Go ahead, you have not
Sure.
spoken yet.
No, I love the idea. It's been exciting to see all of the business owners come together, because I have heard little tidbits here and there from different businesses, and not all the businesses are alike. Everybody does their own thing. So to see them come together and have meetings to try to find ways to boost their business and bring people down is pretty cool. And I want to support that and as much as I can. I'm not concerned with the blocking of the road. I think the vendor, having it on the streets where people come to visit those vendors and then also step inside each of the 1,600 square foot business, actual floor space. For those vendors of ours that, we've criticized in the past with food trucks, that they don't have a brick and mortar. So here's a way to get back to those that do pay their rent toward brick and mortar and give back. So I like that. I think my only concern is with the adult party. What happens when people start bringing alcohol that may not be served, or how we handle glass?
With a
I'm
ticket.
thinking
With
glass.
a ticket, we handle it with a ticket.
Okay.
Closing it down.
Okay.
But no, we couldn't have glass and we can't have alcohol. And they didn't request alcohol on your.
Right.
Originally, some of the men that wanted to come had brought it up, and we went around this round and round, and this is a state statute issue, and I just don't feel comfortable opening a nonprofit just for alcohol. Because that's the workaround, is having a nonprofit for two events a year. In reality, I would love alcohol. That sounds awful. I would love, Timber Hill wanted to come. I'm not gonna lie. Timber Hill wanted to bring their trailer. They wanted to come. They wanted to serve charcuterie boards. They wanted to have wine. They wanted to make it a really cool event. North Lake wanted to have their slushies. I think it's great. But at the end of the day, A, I don't have a nonprofit. B, I don't really know anyone that's just willing to let me have that, because I know Wisconsin statute, they're responsible as well. It's not just the person using it. But to be honest, I don't think serving samples of wine is going to contribute to the DUI problem in Wisconsin. That's just my take on it, because I see it firsthand every day. But no, there is no plan of alcohol that's going to be served, and I don't plan on bringing any.
And I appreciate that, because if you're gonna involve the splash pad in the event, I definitely don't want alcohol there with the young kids.
Sound like there's a discrepancy on as far as the time goes, this when is it starting, or you need to start blocking off the road? To when you want to open up? 'Cause it says-
Whenever you would like.
But I mean, right now, the application we see, it says 7 to 9, that's not correct?
No, so I filled out there, so Jenny had me refill it out. The time is, it's hard, those applications are hard when you're trying to convey a message and an idea, and it's not very friendly with, and anyways, I don't care. I was gonna advertise the event from 5 to 8, I can advertise at 5 to 9. The 7 to 9 was just a splash pad, because originally we had looked at all the hours of the splash pad, and I thought it'd be more convenient to have it like after opening hours. But if there's all these fees that are incurring from reprogramming, unprogramming, then if it's better from 5 to 8, then that's great. I'm very flexible. And then also, just so you know too, for trash and all that, like the farmer's market last year, we stayed after and picked up trash, and then we also paid for trash and hand sanitation stations in the school parking lot, and I'm more than willing to do that again this year. And WJBL and Red Hot Ken Scott will be at these small business event nights doing live remotes, and that's paid for by the businesses.
Any other questions or comments?
So the only thing that we're not going, that it sounds to me like what we're not willing to accept is the use of the splash pad as a private entity, but we can still decorate. Is that what
I think maybe the better wording is the rental of the splash pad.
the rental?
I think that sounds like it, unless I'm wrong, Hal, but it sounds like she can use the splash pad, but she's not gonna rent it out,
Right.
we're not gonna reprogram it.
I never put rent on there, who?
I'm just throwing that out there as
Oh,
a
I
term
gotcha.
for
I
precedent
gotcha.
purposes. If we just say, you know, right now you do have on here that you're gonna use the splash pad, stuff like that, but if we kind of nix that from
I got
there
it,
and you just decorate that area right there, it doesn't sound like that's a problem, right?
Okay.
But if we nix it from the application, for all intents and purposes,
okay, perfect.
I don't think it's a
So,
problem then, right?
I mean, that, people have done that in the past for birthday parties, they put stuff on the table, things like that. You know, it's,
okay, so I would like to make a motion to approve this application with the time change of 2 to 5 to 8.
And not exclusive use of the splash pad then?
That's correct.
I was just gonna say we nix the splash pad from it, but otherwise, yeah,
Okay,
I was thinking that.
okay. Does everybody understand the motion? Any further questions or comments?
Can I have one question? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Can I still advertise with that, like, and it's not exclusive use, but like adult night at this, I don't know, I'm trying to think of, I mean, is that okay if I use that? I just don't wanna get in trouble for like it, I want it to be catchy, you know, like summer small business block party on Goodrich Square, and then adult night at the splash pad. I just wanna make sure that I'm in bounds, you know, I don't wanna,
I don't see any issue with it.
okay, I just wanna make sure.
Yeah.
So I don't get in
Yeah, I
trouble.
mean, you're not gonna kick out somebody that brings their family to the splash pad or.
Or say family night splash pad.
Oh, and I didn't even mention, the Master Plessel from the karate studio, will be doing like a parents' night out that night as well, for his karate students. So anyways,
We may say parents night at the splash pad instead of adult night. Adult night sometimes can have connotations.
Okay.
So,
so
that was just a thought.
I like it.
I agree with that.
Well,
If you say parents night, you know, or I don't know.
I
family
know,
night.
but then I get in trouble if I don't include, because not everyone has children that, I don't know.
Boy, I think that there might be some other words that might work.
I agree.
This doesn't sound like you can't
okay,
advertise using it though.
so there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, well, good luck.
Thank you, I'm gonna need
If
it.
there's gonna be severe weather, please contact the chief of police.
I'll be in touch.
We do reserve the right to cancel all events on city property due to severe weather.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
All right, good luck. Okay, discussion and possible action regarding a commercial facade grant application for Junction Pub located at 130 Merchant Road.
So Mike and Lori Jacobson, owners of Junction Pub, have requested a commercial facade grant in the amount of $5,000. Their intent is to replace the existing metal fencing that is on their kind of patio area out front, as well as their awning, which is starting to fade. They will be replaced in kind with the same materials and same design. The total project cost from their quotes is over $13,000. So the grant has a cap of $5,000 every 3 years, and then they'll be putting forth the additional $8,000. Mike and Lori have requested grants in the past, but never in my time here for this property. They've gone for Casa Fiesta and the patio and Fredericks, but not for this property. So they are in compliance with the program guidelines.
Questions or comments from anyone? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the facade grant.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Anything else for anyone? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding a 2-lot CSM along East Bowers Lake Road.
So in front of you on the dais is some paper copies of the certified survey map. We were waiting for a correction to be made to the legal description, so we got this back at about 3:45 today. It didn't change any of the parameters of the CSM, but we needed that to accurately reflect the municipality that it was located in. The 2-lot CSM is really a precursor to the rezoning request that the owner has also submitted that will be on the July 19th agenda. The purpose of the CSM is to legally define the boundary for the purposes of the rezoning. It's their intent to rezone the property to PUD and bring forth their site plan on July 19th. Before doing so, they needed to subdivide the land to have a legal description. As part of this too, they're also dedicating the right-of-way for Ridgeview Drive, which will be the initial entrance to this new subdivision on the city's northeast side.
Questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I will make that motion to approve the site plan as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding 2022 water service replacements bid award. I think Mark really is looking for talking about this.
So this is similar to last year. We put a project out to bid for water service replacements for utility-owned service lines that are part of the service line from the water main to the curb stop. It's in response to maintenance work or more often currently as a result of discoveries found during the LSL program. In order to be reimbursed by the Department of Natural Resources for the lead service line program, we have to replace any lateral galvanized service material between the main and the home. The private program through the DNR will fund the private part from the curb stop to the home, but the city is responsible for funding the part between the main and the curb stop. We received 2 bids. Fanning Excavating was the low bid. Total was $152,178. The recommendation would be to award the 2022 water service replacements to Fanning Excavating Incorporated.
Questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we award the 2022 water service replacements to Fanning Excavating.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding the potential Madison Avenue water main and road improvement project.
This project is the replacement of water main along Madison Avenue between approximately Windsor Court and Clear Lake Avenue. The project includes, the as-bid project includes basically pavement repairs with a mill overlay, which is similar to what was performed for pavement repair back in the early 90s when the project was last, or when the route was last rehabbed by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. We received only, let's see here. We did receive bids. The low bid was from RT Fox Contractors for the as bid portion of the work. We did some further analysis of costs and prepared some estimates to look at what it would take to improve the whole route from Windsor Court along Madison Avenue west to Clear Lake and then along Clear Lake north to city limits, seeing as to how that route is all in similar condition. So the other tables listed here kind of detail some of those costs. The as-bid project, we could fund that with existing funds that we have. We would request funding from cash and capital from different accounts to do that. If we were to look at doing a more intensive project, it would likely require borrowing for the project. We would also have to do some further design work to complete it and then rebid the entire project. WISTOT, we've had correspondence with WISTOT regarding the project timeline to see what their schedule would be for rehabilitation or reconstruction. And we received is that the earliest that they would be able to program their route is 2029. So that's the very earliest that we'd likely see any pavement improvement work on the road. So we're at the point where if we want something done, the city's gonna have to fund the work. So I guess if there's any questions, I can answer those or further discussion. But there's not necessarily a recommendation until we decide what level of work we want to perform.
Questions? I believe that between now and 2029, the cost of materials is just gonna skyrocket. And as much as I really support our goal, our long-range council goals as to not taking out any loans, I believe that this could be a case where maybe we should look into this, find out from Kelsey what kind of rates we could get. The roads need to be taken care of, and it is not gonna get any cheaper. And quite honestly, waiting around for the state to get this stuff done is just taking so long to get to municipalities like ours. I just feel like it's something that everybody, we need to talk about it.
If we were to borrow, would we be able to pay it off before we had to redo the road again?
Yeah, if we follow our debt policy, then yes, we would. And just to be clear, the portion that would need to be borrowed for would not be the total amount as indicated in table 3. It would only be the general fund portion and perhaps some of the water. But you could basically knock $800,000 to $900,000 off that right off the gate for what we would need to borrow. So.
I just don't want to see us in that hole again, where we borrow for something for a
Oh,
longer
yeah,
period of time.
yeah, no.
We actually are.
No, we're not gonna do a 20-year borrowing on a roadway.
Larry?
If we do this, the full repair, make it good and usable and right, would the state by any chance reimburse some of that cost because they're, okay?
No.
So if we do this, then the state just says, well, thank you. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. And just so folks are aware, the reason we keep bringing that up is I just don't want to assume everybody understands. The segment of road that we're talking about is a state highway. It's a connecting highway and the state has jurisdiction over it. It's their responsibility to maintain it. However, they've been remiss in doing so for the last 40 years. And so we're trying to, because this is probably the most heavily traversed road in the city, and it's probably the one that we get the most complaints about. And it's probably one of the worst PASER ratings in the city, left in the city. We just feel like we've got to be proactive with it. We have this opportunity where the water main needs to be replaced anyways. If you're gonna dig up the road, you know, obviously you gotta put the pavement back down. We're only talking about Madison Avenue, but in discussions internally, we said, well, if we're doing this, is now the time to address this kind of long-standing infrastructure issue in the city of Milton, recognize some economies of scale. And again, as Mark pointed out, we would need, if we chose option number 3, we would need to rebid it and perhaps we would get better numbers. We can't guarantee that, we could get worse. But, I mean, if the council is willing to do number 3 or wants to do number 3, we would bring back a full funding package and bid to further investigate. There's nothing to say we couldn't go and do that, find out it doesn't work, and then just go back to item number 1.
I think another point is it's one of the gateways to the city. And it's the first impression that some people get of Milton. Boy, they've got lousy roads. And it doesn't matter that it's smoothed out later.
Anything for anyone else?
And this is asphalt, not concrete. Is that correct?
There's, table 3 lists a few different options. Depending on cost, you know, HMA, asphalt pavement reconstruction would probably be the most economical, unless we wanted to do the mill and overlay, but the problem with the mill and overlay over concrete is you see the reflective cracking show up in a couple of years, so. And then there's not, in these estimates, full curb and gutter replacement is also not included, but we would repair the worst sections where it needs to be fixed.
And PCC must be the concrete that runs. Okay, yeah.
So, and just so folks understand, you know, Madison Avenue is all concrete, and then when you get basically kind of by Red Rooster, it turns into asphalt. There is concrete underneath that. And at one point in 1994, they paved over it with 3 inches of hot mixed asphalt. And that's why you feel that to do as you're driving over that, because that's where all of the fissures are in the concrete beneath the asphalt.
Would concrete provide a longer lasting surface than asphalt? Because I mean, looking at the difference of
I don't know, I think engineering's still out on that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we could look at some life cycle cost analysis for the roads. It is a little different being a state highway, the pavement structure is different than a residential street. It's certainly more costly to repair when the time is needed versus doing an asphalt overlay on an asphalt road. You know, sawing, placing concrete, or digging up a utility, or who knows. Those things cost more to do with the concrete pavement, but I mean, generally, life expectancy is longer for concrete, but we can kind of look at it to see what the cost benefit of that is versus putting asphalt in and having maybe a little shorter life cycle.
I think we're going on that path, it makes sense to look at that, sure.
Yeah, so I was gonna say same thing, maybe number 3, but looking at both sides.
Yeah, I thought I heard recently that concrete it actually became cheaper than asphalt in some cases. I thought I heard that recently, I could be wrong.
Al's right, the jury's still out, I think.
Yeah.
You can find different.
And I don't mean long term, I meant like even short term actual cost. So I thought I heard.
I haven't seen large concrete bids personally lately, so I have to do some investigating.
Do you know about how long it would take us to do this? I'm just thinking because of school.
Yeah, the work would be all of it, probably 2 to 3 months. We could write in the contract specific times, and then perhaps the contractor brings in multiple crews or does different things to try to coordinate the work as needed, but if that's, and we always coordinate with the school. I think we've got a good relationship with the school and try to work with them, but I agree, I mean, you're certainly gonna have a lot more traffic to deal with if it's during school, and also the 4th of July parade route. So we want to not impact that too, if possible.
It's highly unlikely, I don't think we could guarantee, but there would always be one lane of traffic over it. Because we already replaced the cross at Front Street.
Yeah, there's probably some delays where it would be closed, but generally I would say that could work. We could have one lane. it's hard to say until you get into the design and see where the utilities actually fall on the entire route. So traffic control. We would at a minimum probably detour the state highway, the local traffic. That's where you would maybe have a single lane available. But we'd probably still detour state highway traffic to try to keep that out of the construction zone.
Right,
Like
through all the business
detour.
districts.
And
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we want to send all state highway traffic down Richard Road.
I'm just kidding.
thanks.
Well, Jane still talks about that.
No, it would all get bounced up to county, yeah.
I know.
We still get that rumor started.
Sorry.
No matter what, it's gonna be horrific and everybody's gonna hate it and complain the entire time. But when it's done, everybody will be very happy. But just, nobody likes this kind of stuff, but it still has to be done. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we ask staff to prepare more detailed documentation for table 3 using both concrete and blacktop for pricing.
I'll second that. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding Parks and Recreation Commission appointment, and July is Parks and Recreation, it's just so you know.
The committees and commission list has a vacancy on the Parks and Recreation Commission, and staff has received an application from Logan Purdy to fill this vacancy.
Is there, and I recommended.
Motion to approve the nomination or the appointment for that.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for the appointment to Parks and Rec. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. We're getting there. General items. All right, you cannot come back to general items once we pass it, I'm just saying. Any committee reports?
Planning Commission met today at 4:00 and approved a site plan for an expansion at the meat market on John Paul, as well as the certified survey map that was approved by the council this evening.
Any other committee reports? Any other staff reports? Mark E.
The cemetery fence was taken down. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we've received we've received many, many compliments on how nice it looks. It was surprising actually how many compliments we've been receiving, so otherwise, kind of the normal routine. And
No weather report, again. No respect here. Kelsey?
The 2021 audit is complete and we received final reports from Hawkins and Hitch. And I believe are in full swing starting the 2023 budget. So,
Exciting.
yes.
Jenny?
I just have an update on absentee ballots for the August 9th election. We have 211 that are out there right now, and we have received 36 back so far.
Great. And I just wanted to comment how Jenny has gone above and beyond and working with businesses around helping them understand Department of Revenue, alcohol licensing, serving alcohol, scheduling trainings with businesses, partnering with other communities to schedule trainings. So she's really gone above and beyond to help our businesses. And I just want to make sure everyone is aware of that and how much we appreciate everything that she is doing for our businesses in regards to that. So thank you. Ashley?
We just have our Friends of the Mountain Public Library book sale going on throughout the month of July during library hours.
Nice. Chief?
Well, nothing was going on yesterday.
It was so relaxing. No stress.
There was an adventure. Lots of decisions had to be made with sometimes limited and quickly shifting information, and that's whether in public safety. So We'll be reviewing kind of the way we made our decisions yesterday on both events and try to put together some better concrete, objective sorts of metrics that we can use in the future so that we're not guessing and kind of just flying by the seat of our pants at times. And we'll come up with some things that we can rely upon into the future. So 364 days of work ahead to get that ready for next year.
For by August.
Or by what?
By August, the next big event in town.
Yeah, which is that?
The Josh Pelton reunion fundraiser
Oh.
in Central Park.
Sounds good.
Okay, great, I know. Inga?
I had the opportunity to volunteer during the 4th of July festivities this weekend. I was up there for about 7 hours just volunteering and helping out where I could. And it was interesting to see the festival from that perspective too. So I know Derek's always looking for volunteers. So next year, if you're able to, mark that on your list of things to do. Also, I just wanted to make sure that everyone saw the email that we sent out about the archway for Story Gardens that we're going to be working on installing in the next couple weeks up at the library. It turned out, or it's in the process of turning out to be an amazing piece of artwork that we're excited to add to our community.
Thanks. Did I miss anyone? Did I miss anything? And we are grateful for all the work that Derek put into all the organizing of the parade and the festivities at Shelburne Park, the sponsors, and all the volunteers. It was a long weekend, past few years. 4th of July was like in the middle of the week and we had a really long weekend. I know it was tough with the weather changing and not being able to predict it. But overall, I think things went smoothly aside from the weather, which we've been really, really, really lucky. I don't remember having bad weather like this for decades, really, since, I don't know. So thank you to everyone. And what was it? Larry.
Ready?
Ready.
Consideration of a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.85, subsection 1, subsection C, Wisconsin statutes, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Staffing needs updates.
Second that.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, so we will move into the conference room.
In the record, that's a unanimous vote. Is
That was a
correct?
unanimous vote.